Hello everyone, Subvertis here. As you might know, Blizzard released an article regarding Diablo 4 and the development of the game, and I watched a lot of opinions on the internet, and I don't think I agree with the majority of them. So I decided to make a video like I never did before, that is not gameplay, just opinions on a matter, because yeah, I think I want to share my point. Like, it's not about focusing on bad things or wrong things or specific stuff. That's fine. That's fine. My problem is most people I hear and watch on the videos talking about Diablo 4 and this change of developments think that the change are positive things, that there's nothing, that the game is going in the right direction, right? And as I say, you can focus on this, on that specific part of Diablo 4 and not like it. My problem is that globally the changes and how on the approach to make the game is not cannot be taken very positively, and I will analyze why and will give me opinion on that. So let's get to it. So here in the introduction, they talk about they realize how important intimidation is and all that, and that's fine. That's positive, right? They know they can go the same route they did with Diablo 3. They are giving us the impression, at least, that they know what the community wants and that they hear us, right? I think it's real. Like, I think they do know the problems with Diablo 3, at least some of them. They know that as the community doesn't want that kind of game anymore, that they cannot go that route again because it's gonna be a disaster. But that's not enough, right? I'll explain later, but to fix a problem, you need to realize there is a problem. That's right, and that's positive. But you actually need to fix that problem afterwards, right? It's not like, okay, the problem exists, I'm gonna do this, that doesn't solve the problem. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it. They basically try to tell us, and I think it's sincere that they are listening to us. I think it's sincere. The problem is not that they are not sincere, or fully sincere at least. At least there's some part of it that say, okay guys, we know you didn't like this, so we're gonna try to give you what you want. I think part of it at least is sincere, okay? But I'll explain later why it's not enough for me. So yeah, Sing by Luis Barriga, game director of Diablo 4. For you that don't know, Barriga is Tommy on English, so in Spanish, Barriga is Tommy. So yeah, Luis Tommy, game director of Diablo 4. What a time to be alive. Let's get to the next part. Like, skill tree, this don't say much. I mean, it seems important things, but different parts of the article have a different depth. But we'll cover it all, okay? Let's get to it. So here in the article they make a second introduction. Yeah, they want us to know that they are listening, they care about the game, they care about our opinions. Problem is, I don't think they're going the right direction, but let's read it, right? They want to focus on strength and class identity. Okay, that's positive, right? But you can stop there. Like, people is saying, oh, it's positive. They want to strength class identity, but that's not enough. You don't only have to want, you have to make it, right? We'll get into that later too. But yeah, it's like people is positive. They say they want to do this and that, but I mean, the positive thing is if they saw they are doing that properly, right? At least to me, man. Like, everyone is freaking out and saying, "Oh, this is amazing," and then like, chill. They have to make that be true, and so far, doesn't sound like that. They want deeper customization through items, which is not negative. Again, it's not negative, right? It's positive, but I'll get into that later. The deeper customization through items cannot affect your choices as a player, and they might do in this game. Then next, they want overall depth somewhere between Diablo 2 and 3. And I think, yeah, that's the route Diablo 4 is taking, right? But that's what Blizzard wants. A middle ground. And I think that's the main problem. And will be the main problem of this game. But we'll get into that later. But they're telling you right here, and no one is talking about it. Or people say, oh, it's positive. We have Diablo 2 fans happy and Diablo 3 happy. Well, it's not that easy. It's not that fucking easy. Let's get to the kill tree, right? So, basically here, the important thing about this part is just they tell us they want aspects or builds to matter, so you can just respec anytime you want. That's positive, right? But they want to give you a lot of options to respec in the future, so it's not like only limited amount of respecs like in Diablo 2 vanilla, right? They'll have a way to force you to pay to respect. We'll see how. Maybe it's money. And in the end game, that cost will increase exponentially, right? So it's harder for you, and you need to think about it. In Diablo 2, you have the vanilla have the 3 quests, right? Each one per difficulty. I think it's just a great idea. And then you have the on Battle.net, you have the essence you farm from bosses. That is good because it's hard to get, so respecting matters. And also, the other part of that is that maybe bosses you don't want to farm, like Andariel, right? Now have more value because they drop essence. So maybe you want to farm them more because, okay, maybe I can get this item and, you know, if they drop some essence, I can respec in the future. Or you want to farm them with an alt instead of just doing the getting rush, right? You know, okay, instead of going to a game in the bar runs, I'm gonna kill Andariel 100 times like I did in Nightmare to get 1 essence, right? You can watch the video, guys. It's on my YouTube channel. To get an essence and then use those essence in the future to respec. If it's just money, if it's a cost like money, the problem is there's gonna be a point where the money doesn't matter. Like, it is very hard to balance that. Like, how do you balance the cost? The cost will have to take into account what do you use the money for, right? How players earn that money. And the main problem is it's gonna be a player that plays 2-3 hours a day, or I don't know, 15 hours a week, right? Then we'll get to this amount of money on the end game, and we'll fluctuate to that amount of money. And then you have a player that plays 6 hours, 8 hours a day, and for him, maybe in the end game, respecting won't matter, right? You just spend the money and get it back, and won't matter at all. I think it's very hard to balance. I think that's why the drops system, like, you get essence, you farm specific things, you go to specific places. Like, to do a quest to farm a boss to respec works way better, way better, because it's easier to balance than just pay for it. Even if it will increase the cost, right? Again, they talk about cost. We don't know what that means, right? Could be cost, could be items. Like, you pay with items, you pay with jewels, you pay with, so jewels are drops, or you pay with gems, right? That drops too. Or it's money. That will be the bad part, right? Because money, we all know how money didn't matter in Diablo 3 at the end. Not even the beginning, to be honest. And again, it's hard to balance because how are you gonna balance it out? You're gonna make it easier for the player that plays 2-3 hours a day. Then the player that plays 5 is gonna have respect forever. And the player that plays 8 is gonna be like, I don't only respect once a day, but I still have money to respect another time a day. And it's a very fun feeling. So I don't think it's the right approach. If they had this system like Diablo 2 in mind, I think they will show it here. And they talk about cost. So I think they are already going in the bad direction. But again, it's just one part of the of the article, right? One part of the development. It's not wrong per se. It's not negative per se. It's just one part. You can focus on it and say, okay, the game is going to be bad because of this. I don't want to say that. I think the problem is way bigger than this. So, yeah, let's continue, and then the conclusions we can talk about that. Primary stats. And the main problem for Diablo 4 development, I see. Like, skills 1 can be good, can be changed in the future, but this is a core problem the game is going to have. Why? You may ask. Well, let me subvert your expectations, because you think you're playing Diablo 2 with this stat allocation, right? After gaining a level, or Barbarian has received 5 stat points. So you will think, okay, this is like Diablo 2, right? Why you don't like that? Well, that's wrong. And we'll see why. Stats not only give bonus, right? Like they're supposed to, but they're different, the bonus from each class. So whereas strength on Barbarian increase the skill damage, on Sorcerer just keep the defense, right? So you could argue like here you have a lot of customizations. You want to go more defensive, you can put points on intelligence and willpower. You want to go more aggressively, you can go strength and dex and increase the critical strike chance and increase the skill damage, right? But there is a problem, and we get into it right now. And here where it gets really interesting. That's what I say. It gets really interesting. And that's the problem, right? The problem is not that they don't address what we want. They do. I think they realize they can go the same route as Diablo 3. The problem is they don't know how to do it. So they know we want something, but they don't know how to do that. That's the main problem. That's why they here they say, and here's what gets really interesting. Because it doesn't. This is what ruins this system. This system is good. And you ruin it when you think it really gets interesting. Because you want to add depth, but you don't realize the biggest depth you can have is multiple options that add variables, so your player alone decides what to do. And you're here with this system, and we'll see why, you are not allowing players to have choices. So what they say here is that skills will have nodes or mods, right? Where if you get to a point on a stat, you will unlock something. So for example, with Wargreen, if you get to 150 dex, right, you will unlock 3% movement speed mod, and if you get to, for example, to 225 strength and dex, it will make 1% critical strike damage per second while active, stacking up to 20%, which sounds a lot like fucking Diablo 3, by the way. Just leaving it like that. I don't even focus on how bad it sounds. I will leave it like it sounds a lot like scaling in Diablo 3. But the main problem is way beyond that. The main problem is that while this system at first glance allows options, right? Here they say no. You have options, but that's not only an illusion. If you want to go Warwheel, you have to go this route. You can go willpower intelligence, because then you won't have enough damage for the endgame, because you need this scaling, right? So that's the biggest problem. They tell you, yes, you have freedom, unless you want to go Warwheel, unless you want to go this specific build. With a specific build, you have to be forced to a specific number of stats. That's the main problem. You need to realize that devs make a plan, so the player then, it's like engineering, right? You engineer a product, and to know how that product was created, you need to take that product, open it up, and backpedal that process of engineering, right? This is the same. They give you this system, but this system is meaningless because it will force you to go to that route to scale for the endgame content, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense that they give you 20% critical strike if you're not gonna need that much critical strike in the future, right? Wouldn't make sense. So they're gonna put this scaling because in the future, monster will have that scaling and you will need that X damage to kill them. So backpedaling from that, going back from that engineering process, we get that while we have, at first glance, as I say, an option, the only option is what build you want. Because once you choose your build, you're gonna have a best node, a best mode, and you will force to put points on that mode if you want to be viable. Otherwise, you would have to choose a different skill or a different build. And a lot of people is gonna say, well, you want to go more defensive, go to a specific defensive build, right? But that shouldn't be the only choice. The only choice shouldn't be this skill or that other skill. It should be, I want to play Whirlwind with fucking willpower because I want to be a bard that hits and life leads on every second while I'm Whirlwind, right? They don't allow you here that, because if you want to go Whirlwind, you'll have to go this route that is the devs have planned you to go so you can clear the endgame content. You can say, oh, so don't go Whirlwind, but with Wild Power instead. But they're not allowing you to do that. They're forcing you to go this route to clear the content. By adding mods relative to stats, they are not giving options. They're trying to give depth to the game because, okay, stats do this, but they also increase damage on stats, for example, right? On skills. But that's not depth. That depth is artificial. In reality, what is happening is that your options, all the options you have here, for example, you go Whirlwind and without mods, only the damage in your items and your level will matter, right? And the plus skill will matter, so you can go willpower and will do less damage, but will have more sustain. But here, that goes away. All goes away, and it's the main problem of this game. And instead of having options, they reduce the options to which skill you have to go. Which, again, I don't think that's what you want on a game like Diablo. A lot of people say, okay, just choose a different skill. But what's the fun of that? Like in Diablo 2, you have builds that two players make the same build, but the standard location completely different. Some guy go max blocking, right? Other guys go more vitality. Others may go main energy because they want to spam whatever skill. Depends on softcore, hardcore, the build, the items you have, once you want to clear, right? Here, you're gonna need the scaling for endgame because that's what the devs are doing. They give you this damage for you to use in the future, and that's the same problem on Diablo 3. And not only is the same problem on Diablo 3, the problem is the thing they add in depth when they're cutting down options for the player to make, and they don't realize. The problem is that they don't realize. Again, they want to go between D2 and D3. The problem is they don't know what Diablo 2 is. They don't know if they want to go full D3 because it had a big backlash when it released, right? So they don't want to go D3, but at the same time, Diablo 3 is the only place they know, because these devs did not make Diablo 2, and they don't know Diablo 2. That's why they commit these mistakes. Blizzard. I think the problem of Blizzard with this game is that they don't know what to do out of it, and they don't know how to make a proper game after making Diablo 3. They don't know what to make after knowing that Diablo 3 does not work.
Do I really look like a guy with a plan?
Weapon types, similar to skills. I don't like this, how they're developing this, but again, will it be a problem? The global feeling of the development was not so negative. So if this didn't exist, weapon types, okay, they're trying to make weapons matter, okay, that's good. Here, this looks too much like Diablo 3. That's my problem. But again, it's It's just the looks, right? I don't like how it looks. It looks too Diablo 3-ish. But it's not a big problem. If you don't have the main problem that is like this system, and the main problem that is Diablo, Blizzard not know what to do with Diablo 4, even the looks of this, even all this weapon attack that is over scale, wouldn't be a problem for me. I don't think this is positive. I think weapons mattering is positive, but I don't like how this looks. I don't like how all this damage looks. I don't like that this looks too much like Diablo 3, right? Again, this looks too much like items that look too much like Diablo 3, but at the same time, it's not a problem on this specific thing. It's a problem on globally the direction the game is going. So I could ignore this part if the rest look better, but it doesn't. Items qualities. So basically they're talking about rare, magical, and legendary, right? In Diablo 4. Like a lot of people say legendary, don't call it legendary. It's unique in Diablo. Why you call it legendary? Because World of Warcraft was popular and they call it legendary there, and they think legendary is a better name for the brand and sells better and unifies the two worlds, right? So you have people coming from World of Warcraft and sells more. Again, I wouldn't care that much. It's annoying. It's annoying. But I wouldn't care that much if the rest of the game was better. A lot of people focus this too much on this is not legendary. It's unique, is how you call in Diablo 2. I worry more about the scaling of the damage than of the name itself. But it's another problem, right? Like the route is going, it's not good. I say they tell you it's Diablo 2-ish, but then they start adding stuff like Diablo 3. Legendary affixes, another big problem, way bigger than calling it legendary instead of unique. So it says these legendary affixes work just like regular affix, like you have in a magical item, right? A blue item, that they can roll randomly on different items in different slots. Many can be used by any class. For example, when you stand inside of your own damage ground effects, increase the damage dealt by 27%, right? While some other is specific to a particular class. Again, they are trying to add depth, but in reality, they are just reducing the possibilities of the player. A lot of people complain about these stats, defense, looking like that, or having attack on amulets. Like, this is gonna be bad. The attack on amulets is gonna make it so scaling goes over the top. But the main problem is that instead of having affixes that are way more general, they're going to a route that makes it a specific class. Instead of letting different classes play in a lot of different ways, they're gonna guide you into use this as legendary because it's good for your class. Instead of having a legendary that is just in general good for defense, good for attack, good for sustain, and you choose which one to have for that specific build. So maybe I want sustain because I play hardcore. I want this specific legendary, right? But if that legendary is gonna be more specific to apply to a specific class, I don't think that's a good idea because it cut options. Like for example, I like this one. Increase the duration of your defensive skills. You could have defensive, if you can have defensive skills with a lot of classes, that's good. If this only means barbarian defensive skills are gonna get boost and the rest are gonna be like, meh, you have this but you don't really want to do that, then these legendary are not giving depth, but instead they're cutting option and they're guiding the player too much into what direction instead of letting the player decide what to do. Like Meteor gains, Critical Strike, right? Instead of having lightning mana cost reduction, maximum mana, 7% damage while healthy. They are already giving mana to sorcerer only. Already mana cost reduction to sorcerer only. Why are you forcing players into taking specific items only? Why don't you leave this so any class can have mana cost reduction and maximum mana, like in Diablo 2? And then sorcerers are gonna pick this anyway. But maybe you want to pick this with a paladin too, because your paladin is gonna be a caster, right? Instead, this is only for a sorcerer. This does not add depth. It takes out options on the game. Like, I don't get it. They don't get it. The developers are not getting it. You are not adding depth doing this. You think you are. But instead, you're cutting options, because instead of letting this item 4% lightning damage, 6% mana cost erosion, 4% maximum mana, 7% damage while healthy, then probably like above 100% health or above 75% health, right? Something that is in Diablo 3, but that's not the problem. The problem is bigger than that. The problem is that even with this scaling, that I don't like, that is very Diablo 3-ish, they're adding a specific class thing when it's not needed. Just remove this. Let a paladin use this item. Don't say Meteor gains a 45 critical strike damage against vulnerable targets. Make it so spells you cast gain a 20% critical strike. Like, balance it so many classes can use it. Otherwise, it's not adding depth, it's cutting options. You go sorcerer, you go meteor, you want this legendary item only. You can only have. You want more sustain? Sorry, bro, because you're gonna need this damage. You're gonna need this damage for the end game. If the developers give you this damage for the end game, it's because you're gonna need it to clear the content. And this is the main problem. This is the problem you have with the mods. That people say, just don't go Whirlwind, go another build, right? Just go another build. If you want to go Whirlwind, you need to go this route. If you go Meteor, you're gonna need to go this route. So it's gonna be like, it's only going to be like the choice between Meteor and another build. That's terrible for the game. That's terrible for the game. Different builds should have, each build should have different options too, for the game to be healthy. And then unique. So I said, yeah, legendary should be Kyle uniques. A lot of people are saying that. They're adding legendary and then uniques instead. They say here, we still like the idea of mythic items, so they make mythic. This is mythic and this is unique, really. This is the unique and this is mythic. But then telling you, no, this is legendary to please like the World of Warcraft players, right? To unify worlds, and then they give you uniques. We completely fix a fix, so, and you usually class specific powers. Again, you're gonna get a fucking unique that is gonna be very rare, and it's gonna be only good for a specific class. Like, this is terrible. This is the worst thing about Diablo 4, and people is not talking about it. They are not giving you options. They think they are adding depth, but instead they are cutting options you have. You want Whirlwind, you go this route, man. Otherwise, you're gonna have damage, because the damage they give you is not free. Again, I repeat about the damage they give you is not free, but people say, I'm talking to a guy on Reddit right now that say, okay, don't go Dex, go willpower with Whirlwind. But then when how are you gonna get damage if you're giving away these mods, right? You're giving them away, and you just go willpower or intelligence bar. How are you gonna get the damage? Because then this way they're telling you your damage is gonna come from items early on, right? That's what the devs are planning. You're gonna come from items early on, then you're gonna scale a little bit with a legendary, right? And then with the fixes and stats is how you're gonna transition into late game, because of the bonus damage. That's what the game is being developed to be. People just take the very simple, the very first thing, and just think that's all it's gonna be. Okay, don't go strength and dex, go with power, man, or don't go whirlwind, go another build that is defensive. Then you're making it so every build is the same, and you just have to choose between whirlwind and another build, and that is also terrible. So in conclusion, and I'm being Bitcoin a bit too long as I wanted. The first problem is that they're going a middle ground that's not gonna please anyone. Another main problem is they think they want us to realize they know what the problems of Diablo 3 were, right? They're telling us, okay, we know you don't want to do this, you don't want a game like this, you want depth, you want to put points on stats, you want all that. The problem is they don't know how to make a game that is not like Diablo 3. After making Diablo 3, they don't know how to make a game that is not Diablo 3 style. So that's what we're saying. We're saying a middle ground. They're saying, okay, we have uniques. But then they give us a fix that are a specific class, uniques that are a specific class, instead of being way more wide. So when you get a unique that's going to be very rare, have options for different builds, right? Instead of letting put points wherever we want. So if, for example, I want a barbarian with hell receives, right? So it has sustain, and I want to play whirlwind. No. If you play whirlwind, you want to go strength and dex. You want to go willpower barb, you probably will have a skill that has a mod for willpower. So that's a big problem. It's a big problem because they think they're adding depth to the game, but in reality what they're doing is cutting options, scaling the game too much, and forcing you to get to that point of scaling they're gonna need for the game to take specific decisions. Like take the specific legendary that boosts your attack on your specific class, instead of having a legendary that, for example, this, that increase the defensive skills of all classes. So maybe I want to go defensive with a sorcerer, and maybe I want to go critical strike with a barbarian. Instead, they're giving you the hints, and the hints, more than the hints, they're telling you, you want to scale with Meteor, you need this legendary. You're gonna see the legendary drop, and you're gonna play other class, or maybe you just don't like sorcerer, and you're gonna get it and it's gonna say, okay, this is useless. Whereas in Diablo 2, you have some specific items that gain mana that you could use with a sorcerer, of course, but also could use with a poison master, for example. You want that mana for farming, right? Or you can use it on a paladin until you get something better, or even just for the paladin to have that increased mana for Hammerdin, right? They're going a route that they think is good because they think adding text to mods, skills, and to items is adding depth, where the real depth in a video game like this is to allowing players to investigate, to create the builds they want, to go as far as they want with different options, to experiment. That's the real depth, to have options. When you don't have options, and when you cut builds choices like this, your game is not going to have depth. It's gonna look like it has depth, but when you get to the end game, you're gonna realize there's gonna be a best build, right? Like any game. The problem is the best build is gonna be only one way, and the bad build won't have the opportunity of having the strongest items, because the strongest items are gonna be for a specific build in particular. Because perfect balance is impossible. So there's gonna be always one strong build and one worse build. And it's okay to have worse builds if you have the options to make it better, or at least to make it more defensive, right? But if you make the build specific and the class specific items like this, your worst build will be worse and your best build will have less options. And yeah, I think I'm going in cycles right now. Sorry if this video took so long. It's my first video talking about the stuff like this. Hope you guys enjoy it. You can comment, you can hate on me. It's fine. I probably did it pretty poorly, but I'll get better. Anyway, I wanted to share this opinion. I think it's different from many other people. I'm totally mad, man, because people say, okay, this is positive, right? This is like Diablo 2, right? You just put points. Oh, it's great. Oh, you have a bar with willpower. Oh, how amazing! But then you go to the skills, and they're gonna force you to go one stat. So this choice doesn't matter. This choice doesn't matter because they're gonna force you to go to this way. The choice between legendaries is not gonna matter because they're gonna force you to go one way, and that's the problem. And I'm going nuts because people don't see it. So share your opinion. Tell me how I'm wrong. Tell me how doing this does not give less options instead of more depth. Yeah, tell me what you think about Diablo 4. I think Diablo didn't know what to do with Diablo franchise. It's more than obvious. They didn't know what direction to go. They didn't know how to make a Diablo that is not like Diablo 3. And that's because the Diablo 2 devs are not there anymore. And yeah, you can say we don't want a Diablo 2. That's fine. But you're going Diablo 3 again. And you cannot like Diablo 2. But it's the best game of the genre. It's the best game of the franchise. And if you made a Diablo style game, it will be great for the franchise. The problem is they're telling you they're going Diablo 2, but just that's a bait for us to get the whole Diablo 3 package. They're telling you we are going Diablo 3, don't worry. But then they're going Diablo 3 here. I'm sorry, they tell you we're going Diablo 2. You want this, right? And they put this into the game. So the Diablo 2 aspects of the game are not matter as much as Diablo 3 aspects of the game. So they're luring Diablo 2 players into accepting this game. Yeah, if you are a Diablo 2 player like I am, you're gonna go to endgame to this game after 3 hours, or 5 hours, or 10 hours, whatever it will be. And you will realize of this, what I'm saying, unless they change this. You will realize you don't have many choices. You realize you have been playing Diablo 2, and when you get to the late game, it's gonna be Diablo 3. And that's my point. So tell me what you think. If you like this content, don't need to subscribe, honestly. Who cares, man? Just check me out on twitch.tv/subvertthis. Don't even follow there either. Just hang out. I give items to hardcore players that are playing Diablo 2, right? Me. Or we can talk about Diablo 3, Diablo 4, Diablo franchise in general. I just want to build a community, so just hang out. Don't worry about following, upvoting, or subscribing. Who cares about that? Let's have a fun time, right? So thanks for watching, and yeah, I hope I'll subvert your expectations in the future. Peace out.